Hello my crafty friends, this is Monica from Allsewpetite. Welcome back to this video series where I walk you through how to make the Bozena saddlebag. If you want to make the Bozena saddlebag with me, you will need to purchase the pattern from my website. Link in the description. In the previous video we assembled lining for this bag, and in this video we are going to make the handle and the flap. Take the handle, fold the longer edges towards the center and press it flat. You can draw a line in the middle first if you need to, and apply some double-sided tape in case you cannot press your fabric. Next, you're going to feed the handle through two of the D-rings, then line up the short edges with right sides together. Use couple of clips to hold it in place. After that, you can stitch the seam using 1 cm seam allowance. But before I do that, I'm also going to press both longer sides of my handle connectors towards the middle, the same way we just done for the handle. Now you can open the seam allowance and press it flat. I like to use my tailor's thumb for this step because it is slightly easier. Depending on how thick is your fabric, you might want to trim the seam allowance by half. I would also trim the seam allowance at an angle towards both ends. This way you eliminate unnecessary bulk. Now you can fold the handle edges, pin it if you need to, then we can take it to the machine to top stitch along both folded edges at about 5 to 7 mm. At the same time, you can top stitch the handle connectors in the similar way. Once you have the handle top stitch, but before you proceed to the next step, you're going to make sure that the rounded side of the rings is inside the handle. Then you're going to locate the seam and fold the handle in such a way that the seam will be behind one of your D-rings. Line up the handle on both sides and pin it together. When you are ready, you can stitch a box in the center of the handle. I will also install a rivet on each end. Next, take the handle connectors and we're going to measure and mark 5.5 cm. But first I need to check on which end I have no stabilizer, so I can measure that 5.5 cm from that end. Then repeat on the other handle connector. Now we're going to fold those connectors along the line and wrap it around the straight edge of the D-ring. Then apply some double-sided tape to the back of the handle connectors. Now we are going to place the handle connectors with right side up at the handle placement markings. When you are ready, go ahead and stitch them in place. If you want, you can also install a rivet in the middle. Once you have the handle in place, take the other flap piece, place it on top right side down and pin it together. Stitch on all sides except the top edge. Now you can trim the seam allowance by half and then turn the flap right side out. Then you can press the seam allowance if you have to. Next, you can take it to the machine, top stitch along the seam and baste the top edge. If you are working with a sewn-in stabilizer and cut it out using the flap stabilizer template, then before you top stitch, make sure you first insert the stabilizer into the flap. Apply double-sided tape at the top edge of your flap. Then on the other side, you can draw a line located 1 cm from the edge. Take the external back piece and measure 3.5 cm from the top straight edge. If you want, you can draw a line. When you are ready, place the flap facing down on top and line up the raw edge against the ruler or the line if you decided to draw one. Now we're going to carefully stitch along the line. After you stitch the flap in place, we need to carefully peel off the edge from the back piece. Then take your scissors and cut off the seam allowance close to the seam. Now you can flip the flap over to the top and press it flat. Next, we're going to top stitch along the seam, making sure the raw edge is hidden. And also add a rivet to each end if you want. It might be easier if you draw the stitching line beforehand. When you finish, you want to double check if the seam allowance is hidden and no raw edges are visible. In the next video, we are going to complete the back exterior and attach the lining. Thank you for watching. Stay crafty, friends!